Speechless, a review of the book of the same name by Michael Knowles. I have many varied thoughts upon finishing the recently released book Speechless, Controlling Words, Controlling Minds by political commentator Michael Knowles. Overall, the book is well written and has a logical progression of thought throughout. The thesis it strives to prove is that the modern political left has taken power in nearly every cultural institution by a subversive and manipulative use of language and speech. Overall, I would say that I believe Mr. Knowles does demonstrate his thesis. Many of the philosophical movements that control the American landscape today, be they called critical theory, communism, or Marxism, I believe have been implemented largely due to the control of speech by the left. The victories of instituting political correctness and remaking language in the image of the most radical policies and beliefs have led to a large victory in the cultural battle over the proper mode and method of government. The book does not provide a lengthy antidote or solution to the current status quo, although it does provide a short suggestion near the end of the book. Overall, the book is worth reading, if only to understand the flow of the past 100 years of history and how that flow of history has led to the situation we are in at the moment. Upon finishing the book, I was immediately struck with a few thoughts. While I disagree with some of what Mr. Knowles suggests in response to the status quo, I do think overall his message of a return to true conservative principles is a rallying cry that we need to be champions of. It is not merely enough to argue for things like fiscal responsibility or small government without understanding the philosophical, moral, and religious underpinnings of those and other conservative beliefs. Over the last 70 years, the conservatives of this country and elsewhere have lost much of their saltiness. And as the Bible says, when salt loses its saltiness, it ought to be thrown out. However, the rallying cry to return to the principles of true moral and religious conservatism must be the cry of every patriotic conservative who wishes to stem the tide of radical leftism that is sweeping through our country and wreaking havoc. Conservatism is not merely about low taxes and libertine freedom to do what thou will. Instead, it is about preserving the order of life that is derived from the only source of objective truth, God Himself. The foundation of this country rests upon the idea of all people being made in the image of God, and thus having liberty to live a life pleasing to Him. Mr. Knowles has given me much food for thought in his book, and allowed a path for me to allow my own thoughts and beliefs to follow. I am grateful for having read this book, as it has clarified much of my own thinking as of late. I urge you to read it as well.